74-1, which was kind of odd. I walked in to the bank with $910. So I had a little thin envelope with $900 bills and one $10 bill, and I walked out with a sack. Walked in with $910 and walked out with 65,000 Liberian dollars. Let's hit the next slide. That is the keyboard sound guy, and I hit the next slide. I think has got all of the electrical cords underneath it. When you go to Liberia, electricity, again, everything is paid for in advance, right? So they didn't have electricity at the church building when I first went. I bought a generator, and everybody, when they saw that, they plugged every cell phone, everything that they could get plugged into the cord was there. But electricity is now running to the church in Painesville, but you pay for it ahead of time. So the first of the month, you think you're going to use so much power, that's what you pay for. And if you're at church at night and your time has ran out, you don't get electricity anymore. And that happened the last time I was there. Next slide. That was the church in the beginning. Those are the international plastic chairs. You can find them in any country that you go to. They will be there. And now that is, instead of the grass panels and wood panels around it and the tin roof, they have slowly put their church building together, and it looks a lot nicer than that. They would pack that place, though. I mean, pack it. Church in Liberia is definitely different than what you would go to a service here. And in fact, you would probably be a little bit uncomfortable. They do things differently than we do them. And not that either way is right or wrong, they just do them differently. Number one, the sound guy runs the sound as just before everything's going to blow up. You get a crackle all the time. I mean everything. It's just before it's going to blow up. The people all sing and clap, and when they do their offering, they sit their offering bucket. They have their tithes, they have the offering, and then they have the building fund. And no, they don't pass you the deal. You come to the front, and you come to the front dancing, and you put your money in with joy. It's really, and it might only be a $5 Liberian coin deal, which is, at 74-1, it isn't very much money, but you do it with joy. And I have never met people who were so poor and yet so happy. It's just amazing to me. Next slide. Don't I look good? Jeanette and Nayuma's parents made that for me. They were there the first time I went. That is a robe. I should get it out and bring it when I go to these different places, but it's handmade, it's hand-colored, and I have been told that it's extremely expensive to have one of those made, and I've been told that I can launder that and it'll never lose the color. I don't know what they color it with, but I've got the little beanie and the whole shooting match. It's kind of different, but that's why that's on. And I have a full suit on underneath that. It's 94 degrees. I got a suit on underneath that, and this is, when I went the first time, this is the only time I went to a motel room and spent the night. I was flying out the next day, and I wanted to make sure I could get a good shower, hot water, the whole shooting match, because the rest of the time it was always with just a bucket and a cup is how I took my showers. But when I took that suit off, it literally peeled it off of me. It was, I had never drank so much and never had to worry about going to the bathroom at all. It was just, it's coming out ran out. Next slide, please. There's one of this is a later picture. If you notice, the walls are different, and you got ceiling in there. You got the big doors in the back. This is about 7 years later when I was there, and yet the building, they filled that up, and I was there on a short notice on that one. Some other things about it, since you do everything is done with credit, the church building was put together small. We'll do it small, small. I literally, Elijah would call it, well, we have enough money now, we're going to go buy 10 bags of cement, which is about $80, $90 US, so that they can, and then they were going to buy some cinder blocks, which run about 50 cents a piece US, and they were going to put whatever, when the $10 bags of cement ran out and the cinder blocks ran out, then they were done. And then they'd just wait until the next time and small, put the building together. Because they kept asking me for money and I told them no. Next slide. We took some people to the ocean for baptisms. The Liberian people are deathly afraid of water. They don't like the ocean especially. And the ocean there is extremely rough. I still have some glass. I have prescription glasses somewhere in the ocean off of Liberia. I'm not sure where they are. That's how rough it was. And I did the one thing that all of you guys all know this because you live on the beach. Never turn your back on the waves, right? I did. Paid the price. But that was an exciting day. We were able to take 17 people down to the beach and baptize them at the end of some time that I was there and where we'd been able to do some teaching. Next slide. I put this one in here. The gentleman on my right is a Muslim. They were having a big shindig at the church and trying to raise some money to finish up a project, put windows in the church. And he came and he donated a pretty good chunk of money for people there. But the reason why he came is why he's in there. Elijah's mom treated him like he was her son. And she treated him not like they had a difference in religion. She just treated him like he was her son. She loved the daylights out of him. And because of that, he respected her greatly. He told Elijah, and he told the people that day, he says, I am here because she treated me like I understand Christians are supposed to treat people. And so that's why he's there. That was, again, if you notice, I don't have a suit on. I took a suit the one time. I never took a suit when I went back over there again. Next slide. This was a minister appreciation day at the church. And if you notice, there are flowers. There's actually, on my shoulder, that's a $5 Liberian bill. They put all this stuff on as different people came up, and I had all this stuff on the front of me and all these flowers and everything. And then when service was over, it was all taken off. I got flowers. I did not get one bit of the money. It went away. I don't care, but it was kind of interesting. Next slide. That is the main food source for Liberian people, rice. Those are 25 kilogram bags, so what's that, a little over 50 pounds? They run, when I bought those, they were $17 a piece. And if you talk to a Liberian man, you may have just sat down with him. You may have fed him a prime rib or a ribeye steak, a baked potato, Caesar salad, and green beans. That might have been his meal. And then if you ask him an hour later, well, have you ate today? And he'd tell you no, because he hadn't had any rice. And so I bought this rice for an example. We invited all the people to bring a container, and that we would give people rice. And I knew that I was going to run out. And I knew I was going to run out before the leadership of the church got any rice. And as the rice was disappearing, they were starting to get nervous, and I could see it. I could see Elijah and I could see Elder Gay and these other people starting to get a little bit nervous about the fact that the rice is going away, and I don't have any rice. I don't have any family lined up to get any rice. And one of them came over and I says, don't worry about it. God will take care of you. Just don't worry about it. And so after that was all done, I went and bought 3 more bags of rice, and then made sure that they had rice too. But sometimes it's better to give everything away. Did it solve the problem of hunger there? No, but it made a good example, and it made some good rapport with the people of not only the church but of the community. Next picture. That's just us handing out some of the rice. Go ahead, hit the next one. She's back there trying to do 3 things. These twins, I met their mother on the street. She was actually asked me for money, and I told her, I can't give you any money today, but we're going to be giving out rice at the church on tomorrow. Come to church. And she said, I got these 2 little babies. I said, bring your babies with you. I'd love to hold them, I'd love to meet them. And she brought her babies, and everybody was kind of surprised she showed up. But I got to hold the babies, got to pray over the babies, and a little boy and a little girl. And it was kind of unique. Again, relationships in Liberia are different. The man that those 2 babies belonged to, he had 2 wives plus her. And he wanted to marry her too, and that would not be unusual. I actually went to a village, and here was a guy that he had a 60-year-old wife, a 40-year-old wife, and a 20-year-old wife. And that's not completely uncommon. It's not what we would want or what we would teach, but, and as a man, I don't know how anybody, well, yeah, that just doesn't make sense to me at all. I have struggled taking care of one, and if you don't believe me, when you get a chance, just ask her. But those babies, at the time that picture was taken, had a 1 in 5 chance of living to be 5. That was their chance, with 1 in 5. And so those chances have gotten better, and part of the reason it's gotten better is because of Hope to Liberia. One of the things that we do is we take clean water, and we put clean water systems in for some larger deals, but we do them in villages. We'll go in and we'll give, this family will get a water system, and these group over here will get a water system, and you guys will get a water system with one understanding, that you share it. You share it. And we use Sawyer water purifiers for years, and it's a 2-bucket system. And you take a dirty bucket, dump it into the bucket, and let it drain into the clean one and through the system. And you can drink water. And I've never done it, but I have watched people on our team literally get their hands in the red muck and yuck and wash their hands into the bucket and take it through the system, and it comes out literally clear, and they have drank it. I have never volunteered to do that, and I haven't done it, but what it takes out is it takes out the bugs, and the babies will get worms and stuff like that in their intestinal systems, and they can't keep any food in, and it ends up killing them. Next slide. This is the guy with the vision. This is Sam Risley. This is taken at the church down, it starts with a K, down the coast from Monrovia. I'll think of the name after I get done again. See, I'm bad with names too. But Sam Risley, he's from Muncie, Indiana. Grew up as a non-Christian in Michigan. Went to Great Lakes Christian College because they invited him to come and play basketball. He was not a Christian when he went there, and he was converted between his sophomore and his junior year, and he is now the president of the organization called Hope 2 that runs out of the church there in Muncie, at Harvest Christian Fellowship, and he's tough. I mean, he's tough. I don't know about you guys, but I get some little kid coming up to me that's 10, 12 years old wanting something. I have a hard time saying no. Sam will just tell you no. Can't do that. But his saying no, what has happened is we have built a school. We have put a water system in there. We're in the process of putting a water system in the prison up at Ganta City. But we don't run nothing. Sonny, check the next slide if you would. I think Sonny's the next slide. Sonny is the man who runs things in Liberia. And Sonny's got this huge weight on his shoulder because everybody expects him to give them stuff, and we don't give stuff. You want a job? We can find a job for you. But Sonny and his family are the ones that are kind of our Liberian people. All of our teachers at the school are Liberian. We have put in a medical clinic. All the people that work in the medical clinic are Liberian. The water system that is put in, going in at the prison, is being put in by Liberian workers. The one that we put in at the big orphanage because of Ebola up next to Sierra Leone, the people that run all that, the people that put it in, everything they were Liberian. We had one guy from America, Sam Bellamy from Heppner, went over. He's a well and pump guy, and he helped install the solar pump that he got donated by the people that he buys a lot of stuff from. They donated 8 systems, and we put them in. But pray for Sonny. He's got this huge burden. Next slide. That's where we stay when we're there. Kind of reminds you of church camp somewhere, maybe along the way. Yeah. There's room, and each one of those rooms has 7 bunks in it. There's room for 14 in each room, and there's 4 rooms now because we have built a house for Sonny and his family to live in. They were actually living in a room like that, him, his wife, and 3 kids. And so not a lot of privacy there. Next slide. There's your kitchen. You like that one? I have never figured out how they can cook rice on those. But they can cook rice on there, and they do it very well. Most everything that is cooked there is done over charcoal, and that's a typical cook stove pot on the left-hand side there, and that's pretty typical. But as you can see there, they've got 2 of them set up. The blue barrels are to catch rainwater, to do laundry. That's what those are for. Next. I went with a group, and there was 35 of us went. Half of them were under the age of 16. And I thought, what moron put this group together? We're going to deal with the 16-year-old and younger boys and girls, and some of the girls like some of the boys, and some of the boys like some of the girls, and this is going to be nothing but a headache. I've never seen such good servants in my life. We had a great big teachers training and preacher leadership training there, and these kids, they did all the serving. And they waited until everybody else was taken care of, and then they got the chance to go eat. And I was very, very impressed. The young man that is there just graduated from Indiana State University, and he's now 6'6" and about 215 pounds. Next slide. That's just some of the group that was there. Let's go ahead and go to the next one, thank you. There's the kids group. That's the back porch of the Hope Center. That is the gathering place for when a team shows up, the kids will come there. They don't go to the front door. They go around to the back, and they were there. And this was some of the ladies of the team had something for the kids every day. And I believe there was 50 kids there. Personal space is not something that you worry about in Liberia. I have actually seen them take a little Nissan for a cab, and I've seen them put 5 people in the back seat and 3 people in the front seat and a driver. I don't know how. I watched a guy get in there that was about my size. There was already 4 people in the back seat, and he got in the back seat of that car. And I'm not sure whose lap was being set on, but he was in there. Next. We've had a soccer match. We got beat. But this was some of the Liberian guys that were playing against us that day. I was blowing the whistle. I don't run that much. Next picture. There's some of the team that was there. The young man there with the beard, the young red beard there in front, he actually went to Liberia and spent six months and built a soccer field and taught soccer for the kids there at the Hope Center. And the great big tall guy in the back, that is the kid that I told you is now 6'4" or 5. That's his dad. He's 5'19" and a half. If you want to figure that out, you can. He's a big man. He actually played football for Arizona State. Next slide. That's a van that we don't use anymore because that day between the van and the trailer there was 37 people being taken to the beach. Again, they don't know how to load anything the way you're supposed to. Go ahead, hit the next slide. These were the first people that Sam ever baptized in Liberia. Understand, he'd been going there since 2005. This is 2019. These are the first people he ever baptized. And he said he did that on purpose. But of these people here, there's those 5, 3 of them are graduating in December from the Christian Agricultural School. That's one of the reasons why we're going on this trip. We're going to go have a big party for these 3 kids. But one of them is already done, and he is back down by the Hope Center, and they have bought some more property, and he is starting a little agricultural project there. And he's getting ready to raise goats and chickens and planting corn and different things that they can have there. You can grow your stuff year-round if you can get water to it. Next. That is an oddity. That guy's got gray hair. You don't see very much gray hair in Liberia. And these young men wanted to have a picture with Grandpa. So I took that. I don't know if it was their grandpa or not, but I took that picture of them. Next. That's a typical house in Liberia, in the villages. This is the house that the man with 3 wives lived in. Inside the house, there cots. There's the beds are all on the floor, and the rat traps are at the corners, and they catch them live. You can understand what they do with them after they catch them. They don't let them loose, but they don't leave either. Next. They make all the cinder blocks that they build buildings with, they make them by hand 90% of the time. Every once in a while you'll see a cinder block machine that actually makes the concrete, but all of these are made by hand. The concrete is mixed by hand on the ground with a shovel and water, and then they pack a single form. They pack these forms, and they set them out to dump the brick back out and then let it dry in the sun. And that's how they're made. As you see, some of them don't hold up very good. But next. If you notice all these kids around, I don't care where you go, if they're little kids, white people scare the daylights out of them because they're usually the first white person they see. But the little bit older kids that are 5 or 6 years old, they flock around, and that's the little Bennett girl there in the middle with holding somebody. And I think she is holding a little boy that when you ask him his name, he'll tell you John Bennett. John Bennett is Kim Bennett's dad, but he tells everybody he's John Bennett, and literally everybody. So, and she was holding him. Next picture. If you see on the back, they're watering the thirsty. That is Trent. Trent is a school administrator in Ohio. He makes a trip almost every year and usually does some teacher training while he is there. But this little guy, this is at the back of the deal, and he didn't want, it was getting time to go to bed, and he didn't want to have to head home, and Trent was trying to tell him that he had to. And I don't know who was holding on the hardest. The next picture. This is at the Agricultural College. At the bottom there where you see the laundry on the line, behind that is fish tanks. They're raising tilapia. There, the one, I can't say it now. Thank you. They're raising tilapia is what they're raising. And that is, we were taking some kids up there and to show them, and they were going to register, and that's what that is. That's a picture from up at the main building. Next. People often ask me why Ebola was so bad in Liberia. Someone passes away at our home. We call the coroner. They come and take them to the mortuary. They do all the work that needs to be done to prepare the body for burial. Not in Liberia. In Liberia, family member passes away. The family cleans the body. The family kisses the person that is dead. They are the ones who build the caskets. They do everything to prepare. So we know how Ebola was spread, but they did not. And so the things that they were doing, the normal things that they were doing, caused it to continue to go. And this man had built this casket for his sister. And the pictures don't do it justice. It is absolutely beautiful. It's all done by hand. It was carved out by hand. Everything was done by hand. And we were there giving some dresses out to little girls that day. Next picture. There's some of the dresses on the girls. I have a lady in Heppner that when I go, I usually have to pay for an extra bag. And she told me she'll have 300 dresses for me to take this year. And so I will pay the $225 that it takes to ship an extra bag, and we'll take it over and give them out. Next picture. There's just some more of the dresses. Next. That's my favorite. So, when you get to do these, you get to put the pictures in you want. This little girl was just a little bundle of joy, and big old eyes, and yeah. Next. That is cassava. That is the most starchy thing you've ever eaten in your life. It makes a potato seem like it has no starch. And this is at the leprosy colony. They're preparing this because there are some people there that don't have any fingers left on their hands from leprosy, and but she's peeling this, and then it'll cook. They'll cook it. You can see the deals in the back that have already been peeled. They'll cook it, and then they'll pound it down, and they make stuff out of it that it's not good as far as I'm concerned. But that's one of their sources of food, and so it's so starchy it fills you up without having to eat a lot of it. I mean, but not for me. Next. The gentleman there with the two crutches is the leader at the leprosy colony. If you notice, he's got a foot missing, and we're getting ready. Trent is getting ready to show them. Trent is in the hat close. He's sitting by Sam, and there are probably 200 people gathered around, and they're getting ready to show them how to use the water system. And so, next. There's the water system. Doesn't look like much, does it? A bucket sitting back there, but this is actually at the hospital that is located there in that leprosy area, and we were going to show them they were being taught how to use that system. Next. This is the saddest place in Liberia. Literally. This is the saddest place. This is where all the bodies were brought that the state knew about, could find, that had Ebola, and they were burnt here. They were cremated here. The sad story about this is that there was the men that they had hired to do this were excommunicated from their families and stuff, because that's not how you do it in Liberia. And so they were excommunicated from their families, and many of them turned to drugs and alcohol, and many of them committed suicide that were hired to do this. But the issue was the excommunication. Families and people would not have anything to do with them. That's the outside wall. That's the gate. That's the guy that actually let us in. Next picture. That is inside. And if you notice, there's a tree growing in there. And then the next picture, that's inside the walls. I put that one in there perfect. You know, even in the darkest of places, you can find some life and some good stuff. And this is inside there. Next. This is at an orphanage. The church in Heppner found out that this orphanage needed their well cleaned. I was over there. They wired me the money, and we hired this group of men to clean the well out. There's actually a guy down in the well. He's passing things up, and you see the bucket with the rope on it. He's passing up the rocks and stuff that are in the bottom, and then you see the young man. They're washing all the rocks. They're going to put new rice bags down on the bottom of it, put the rocks on top of it, and install the pump back again, and be ready to go. But that's a little orphanage that we went to. If you notice on the right-hand side, Sonny there with the hat, he's the one that's going to pay them. There's no way we did not do it. Again, Sonny does all that for us. He's the one that does that. We don't do it. He does it so that they know the money's not coming from some white guy. Next. There's the gates on the outside. I think we're about done. Next. That's the property. That's one of the views you'd have if you want to go to Liberia with me. That is the back porch looking across at the lagoon. All those white posts in the back over there are the property line for the Liberia for Hope 2 there. And that is all going to eventually be agricultural ground. That was a jungle, and then they cleared it out. Next slide. That's part of the school building. Hey, kids, you get to go to school there. There's no air conditioning. There's no heat. There are now windows in there, and you get to sit on little hard benches. It's not fun. But the kids, many kids don't get to go to school, so it turns into a good deal. We've got 6th grades, and we are in the process. We have the upper school to build that'll handle the 7th through 12th grade. We are in the process of raising about $300,000 U.S. to do that. Next. They're inside stuccoing over the cinder blocks. I got to be the guy to say, no, you got to finish this before I leave back to America. They didn't. So they were actually working from daylight to dark. Next. That's the finished classroom without the desk in it. I helped pick out the colors. I just want you to know. But, yeah. Next. That roof is gone. It blew off in a tornado, and we put a new roof on the main building. We actually lost that whole end, the peak. That whole thing blew off, and the whole roof was gone. And the only good thing about it was it happened at night, and nobody got hurt. But set us back about $150,000 to get it fixed again. Next. Greg Snook. He's sitting there. Literally, he sat there with that baby on his lap for 2.5 hours because we went to a wedding. 2.5 hours. When Greg finally got the baby gone, you could see where the baby had sat. He just sweat. Yeah. Greg lives in Moses Lake, Washington. Next picture. That's just a group of us at the back of the building. And let's go one more picture. The skinny guy on the right-hand side is not me. That is I commissioned this carver, this wood carver to do this picture for me, and I told him exactly how big it could be. This had to fit in my suitcase, okay? And all I had was a carry-on suitcase, so it had to fit in my suitcase so I could bring it home. And I kept worrying because he didn't come, and I'd already paid him. And he finally showed, the last day that we were there, he came with that for me, and it's hanging in my house in Lone Rock right now. But it's a picture of Jesus the Good Shepherd, and I wanted that. And he is a very, very good carver. Let's stop there. I don't know if you have the future, those babies. That's the last slide. Here's what's happening in Liberia now. God is doing some phenomenal things there with the people in Liberia. As I told you, we have some young people who are graduating from agricultural school that are wanting to go on and do work. They're going to teach at the Hope Center. They're going to do some agricultural stuff, and then we'll teach people how to do that. We have a young man, Joseph, who is going to school now to be a nurse. He's been the houseboy there. He makes the best popcorn in the world. I don't know what he does different than what I do with my popcorn, but his popcorn is the best popcorn in the world. But Joseph is going to nursing school. We have a young lady, Lindsay Jeffers. Her brother was a kid with the red beard that did soccer. She is a nurse. She has been over there before. She went for 7 months, and she helped set up our medical clinic. She's a nurse. She came back to the States, went to work in chemotherapy doing cancer patients, and is now back in Liberia. Is going to be there for at least a year, and she's working at the Awa Hospital, and she is doing chemo work with the people there. It's just, these are just, I could tell you story after story after story. I got a message this week. Simeon is a young man that I have been paying for him to go to school. There is no public school education. You pay to go to school. So for your family, if you're in Liberia, this is a choice that you might have to make. I can send him to school, but you two can't go because I can't afford to send all three of them. So I'll send my one son, but the other two are going to stay home, and hopefully someday maybe they'll get some education. So Simeon has got a single mom who only gets to work a little bit. I've been paying for him to go to school. He texts me, he says, "Dad," I get to be dad, I was baptized yesterday. Something that they do not take lightly at all. And he was baptized, so he was baptized on Friday morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure why they chose so early in the day, but at 5 o'clock in the morning. There are just some amazing things that are going on. The water system is going to go in at the prison. We're going to build the second half of the school, and then eventually we're going to build a section of that where people can go learn a trade. We've got a guy that wants to send us some equipment to change tires, teach them some automotive skills, some of those types of things. Trying to get it set up so that the young ladies want to go into medicine or some sort of that, we can teach that. The whole goal of Hope 2 is that if the day comes that we cannot go, nothing changes. In other words, it continues to go. They continue to do what we have set in place, and that is hard to do. Understand, I have a African American son-in-law, so this is not a racial comment at all. But they have almost a slave mentality. And what I mean by that is, who's going to take care of me? And I'm not going to plan for next week. I'm just worried about today. And the reason they're just worried about today is because they may not know where their next meal's coming from. Again, not picking on your family, but in Liberia, he might not get to eat today because you don't have enough food for all of you. So who is it that goes without? Now tomorrow you may go without. And then the next day, mom may go without. And you make those types of choices. And because of that, it's who's going to take care of me. So if they find somebody that's got a way to give them a bag of rice every week, so they'll have rice every week, they will try to glom onto that instead of doing it for themselves and making plans for themselves. That is part of what we're trying to teach and what we're trying to instill. We're not trying to change what they eat. We're not trying to change exactly the way their accommodations and try to make them Western and all that. But there are things that you can do to take care of yourself so that you can continue the work that we've got. I told the lady on the slides I was going to try to be done by 10. It is now 10:13. And I actually told her I wasn't going to make it. Has anybody got any questions at all? I've got a couple, 3 minutes. Yes? No. In fact, if you were to ask Liberian, they would tell you they are a Christian nation. There are quite a few Muslims in Liberia, but there's not this stuff going on there. And they like Americans. Literally 60 Marines stopped the Civil War because they refused to fire upon the Marines, because they knew if they fired upon the Marines, they were in trouble. And literally 60 Marines stopped the Civil War that went for almost 20 years. And it was brutal. That's why they're a fourth world country. Understand the capital city of Monrovia does not have running water and power. And it's the capital city. Any other questions? Yes. It used to be Hope 2 Liberia. It's Hope 2. And here's the reason why. They've been very successful in Liberia. And because of their success in Liberia, Uganda wants them to come and help there. And Nigeria wants them to come and help there. And Guatemala wants them to come and help there. And Mexico wants them to come and help there. And so it's turned into Hope 2. And in fact, Sam is going to be gone from his church for 2 months. I think April and May he will be in Uganda, and he's going to go to, I think he said 7 different countries in Africa. They're going to travel and go to different countries. Him and Joseph, who I don't have any pictures of him, but he's a man from Uganda. Yes, we do. We've had 2 families that have went over there, and understand this is hard. You take your again, I'm picking on this poor family over here. They're going to think they're targets, but this one family's got two little kids about the same age as your children. They're taking them out of school. They're suddenly going from letting somebody else educate our kids that we're going to be homeschooling our own children. And they were there for 7 months. And then they came home, and they thought that they were going to come home and stay through the school year and then go back. No, they ended up going back before that. And we've had another family that went over, had one little girl who got malaria twice. She was pretty sick, spent time in the hospital. But they're back in the States, and the church in Muncie Hope hired them, and then the church hired the husband, and the Hope hired the wife to be the secretary, because it was just getting too much for one person to handle. Yeah. One more question. Yes, ma'am. She says, you picked on me, I want to ask a question now.
Well, I'm excited. This just lights a fire in me. I love hearing the projects you guys are doing, working at the prison, getting the water system, and trying to get the older children and education or ability to do that. So, will you do it as you have money? You'll just do a little bit of project, or do you wait till you have $300,000?
We will start. It may end up being small, That building I showed you, the classrooms that were added on the side, we built the main building and then we built the classrooms because we didn't have the money. So it's small. But this is the thing that I will tell you. When we went over the one time, we had a golf tournament. We raised $10,000 back in Muncie. And Sam had said, this money is going for blocks to build that big main building. Literally, that money was spent. The blocks had been ordered before we got to our compound. He stopped on the way, and he stopped and talked to a guy. He says, I need 20,000 bricks. Can you do that? And this man whom he had bought some bricks from before said, yeah, but I'm going to have to hire a couple people. And Sam said, fine, I need 20,000 bricks as soon as you can get them. And I will pay you as you bring them to me. And so then the money was spent before we ever got to the deal. We don't hang on to money. No, we don't build, oh, now we've got 200,000, we'll go build a building. We got $1,000, let's get started. We got 2,000, let's get started. And there's a team going in March. But I got a cheaper way for you to go to find out if you'd like to go to Africa, go to Liberia. We've got and put together a virtual tour, a 7-day virtual tour with a money-back guarantee in this sense. It's $500 to take you take your family on a virtual tour for $500. And then if you decide you want to go to Liberia, that $500 goes towards your trip. It's pretty phenomenal. They had a professional photographer who volunteered to go, and he shot the video. And they interviewed people at the end of each day. And so there's 7 days, and there's a guide to go with it for praying and stuff along the way. They're sending me the pamphlets. I don't have them yet. It's that new. And so I'm excited about it. I'm actually thinking of doing it myself, even though I've went, just so when the team goes, I'll spend time with them. One more question. Going, gone. Let's pray together. Lord, we thank you. I thank you for these that are here this morning. Thank you for the opportunity just to share the good news of what's going on in Liberia and really, Lord, around the world. I pray that you would be with the remainder of the time that we spend together this morning, that you would bless that and that you would be honored and glorified in what we do. And we pray this in Christ's name. Amen.